They said it would take a miracle. They said Minnesota was too young, too raw, too unfinished to stand in the path of Adolph Rupp's bluegrass machine. They said a sophomore from a copper smelter town in Montana couldn't possibly carry the weight of a game like this. And maybe they were right. Until the night, they weren't. Rocco here, and welcome. For today's story, we flip back the pages of time to December 13th, 1951, when the unbeaten and number one team in the country waltzed into Minnesota's Williams Arena, ready to feast on easy prey. It was understandable, as the Gophers hadn't eased into that season. They stumbled into it. A shaky opener, a demoralizing DePaul loss, a roster of inexperience, learning hard lessons under bright lights. And in the middle of that were big hands, soft feet, and a 240-pound frame trying to find its place. Ed Kalafat, 20 years old, fresh from Anaconda's rugged spine. He was no prodigy, no crowned freshman. He arrived as most good stories do, unfinished, doubted, and quietly burning for a chance. By early December, Minnesota had only one win. Kentucky had yet to breathe hard. The papers called it a mismatch. Some said the Gophers were too slow, too green, too everything. And as Rupp's Wildcats rolled northward, the headlines had already written the ending. But seasons and people don't always follow the script. Kentucky wasn't just ranked number one. They were an institution. 3-time national champions over the past 4 seasons. Owners of a 444-win empire. A team so deep they could lose a 7-foot All-American and still be called better. They brought Cliff Hagan, Frank Ramsey, Bobby Watson, and that unmistakable Rupp scowl, a look that said, "We've already won. Someone just has to tally it." Even Coach Ozzie Cowles, the steady hand, admitted he didn't know if his boys were ready. But beneath that caution was something else, an instinct, a hunch, the kind coaches keep to themselves. "I felt it in my bones," Cowles would later say. Sooner or later, this young team was going to win a big one. A crowd better than 7,000 Minnesotans, students, farmers, machinists, young couples in winter coats, all leaning forward at once. From the outset, Minnesota did something unexpected. They didn't blink. Jerry Mitchell cut through Kentucky's famed press. Chuck Menzel found seams no one else could see. And at the pivot, Kalafat planted his feet, lowered his shoulders, and went to work. Shot after shot, possession after possession. The big Montanan refused to fade beneath the weight of Rupp's front court. By halftime, the Gophers led. Nobody believed it. Not even the Gophers. Every upset has a moment when disbelief turns into possibility, and possibility turns into fire. For Minnesota, it was Ed Kalafat scoring 8 straight points in the third quarter. A hook shot here, a power move there. Kentucky's defense, usually so sure, suddenly shook beneath the weight of a 6'6" kid who moved like a dancer and hit like a freight car. 30 points, 30 against Rupp, against number one, against inevitability. And if you listen closely enough, even now, you can still hear the way the old barn rattled. The stomping, the shouting, the eruption of a crowd realizing what was happening before them. With seconds left, Minnesota clung to a narrow lead, and Kentucky, mighty Kentucky, could no longer chase it down. The buzzer sounded, the roof nearly lifted, and in that instant, history did something unusual. It chose Minnesota, 61-57. The Gophers had beaten the number one team in the land. When asked afterward what it meant, Kalafat could only shake his head. "This is wonderful," he said. "This is the greatest thrill of my life. I never believed it possible until it was finally over." Adolph Rupp, who never gave praise lightly, pointed at Kalafat and muttered, "Weighed about 30 pounds, more than we did." That's Kentucky language, for we had no answer. There are nights when the country discovers someone all at once. For Ed Kalafat, it happened in a single game, yet echoed far beyond the scoreboard. As winter turned to spring, the honors rolled in. The coaches of the Big Ten, the same men who had game planned to stop him, named Kalafat to the All-Big Ten second team, in addition to receiving All-American honors by the United Press. This wasn't sentiment. This was recognition. Proof that the kid from a Montana smelter town hadn't just upset Kentucky. He'd arrived. In the long sweep of the game, most nights fade. Scores blur. Names slip out of memory. But every so often, a night survives. Not because of who won, but because of who someone became. On that night of December 13th, 1951, Ed Kalafat became more than a sophomore center. He became a reminder that greatness can rise from unlikely places, from small towns, from quiet players, from teams still learning who they are.